What if URSALUNA Blood Moon was in Gen 1 OU? For those of you who remember, the original URSALUNA was one of the first Pokemon I ever covered on this series, and he was definitely really good there. I mean, what else would you expect from a normal ground type that has incredibly high attack and defense? Obviously, it was going to be amazing. And URSALUNA Blood Moon was even better in Gen 9 competitive. And there are some things that he has that even the original doesn't have, such as, the move Blood Moon. And he has a super high special attack. But at the same time though, his attack is nowhere near as big. And overall, could that hold him back a lot? Or would his special attack be enough to make him broken? Does he even have any broken special moves in Gen 1? How good would he be in the first place? Only one way to find out, as usual. Now, like I just said, he has the move Blood Moon, and we are absolutely letting him have it. It makes the discussion so much more interesting, as since this is before the physical special split, Blood Moon is essentially just a slightly weaker Hyper Beam, which obviously he also gets. So already, this is kind of huge, because with just these two moves alone, he essentially has access to 2 Hyper Beams. So instead of having to use Body Slam, which obviously he does have, he can instead just use Blood Moon, which can, theoretically, 2-shot everything, like how Hyper Beam would, and then he can use Hyper Beam if it's not finished off. If this was on the regular URSALUNA, there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that he would have been banned. Because these 2 strong moves, along with Earthquake, on the original URSALUNA, flat out nothing could really take this on. Because now you just have the strongest normal moves in the game, and then you have ground coverage for Rhydon and Gengar, and you're pretty much screwed. He even has Sword Stance, which would make him even more overpowered. But that's kind of why I'm glad he has a base 70 attack, because I feel like it evens it out so much. And how strong is he without a high attack stat? You'll see in the replays, but I'll just tell you right now, it's a little underwhelming, I guess you can say. You definitely wish he hit harder. But it doesn't mean that he's bad. Just that he might need to get a Sword Stance up, which could be hard with his slow speed, but we will get back to the speed later because it actually is kind of relevant. For other moves, he has the elemental punches, so Fire, Thunder, and Ice Punch. Glow Kick is pretty useless. Rock Slide, maybe if, he had a good attack stat, maybe that would be good. For the most part, it doesn't really matter. And Rest, which admittedly is good because of how tanky he is. So unfortunately, with his high special attack, he only has the elemental punches. But even then, that's not too bad. Because with Ice Punch and then Thunder Punch, he has full on, Bolt Beam coverage. So having Bolt Beam coverage while also having just insanely high physical moves, I feel like that's actually pretty balanced. Maybe even, overwhelming. If he had a 135 special, that might make him a little too overpowered, and he might just destroy everything. I don't know for sure, but I can definitely see that being a possibility. So, overall, it doesn't seem that bad. Doesn't seem like he would be completely overpowered, but at the same time, seems like if you use him right, he can just, counter a lot of stuff. And the speed might seem bad, and in some ways, it's very unfortunate that you're slower than both Cloyster and Executor, but you're exactly 2 points higher than Chansey, which, that's actually a really big deal. Especially since you have, pretty much, 2 Hyper Beams that you can just spam. Chansey gets 2-hit KO'd very easily. So, that alone is a huge deal. Being able to have a free matchup on Chansey for the most part it makes me feel like, okay, maybe this dude would be OU. Granted, he might need Sword Stance in order to be a little bit threatening against, like, other Pokemon like Tauros. But at the same time, if you just use, like, a mix attacker set, maybe get rid of Hyper Beam for Thunder Punch, so you just have, like, Blood Moon, Thunder Punch, Earthquake, Ice Punch, he can just threaten a lot of stuff. I can see that working. Sword Stance, and, like, I don't know, Rest, Blood Moon, Earthquake, I can also see that being a thing. He has options, so that's actually really nice. And I'm guessing that he would be OU. I don't think he would be too overpowered, but I also don't feel like he would outclass the normal types or Rhydon either. But I'm not exactly sure. You can be the judge of that. Let's get on to the replays, shall we? Starting off with Tauros and Blood Moon. You can see there, like, what I mean when I say it's a little disappointing. You kind of wish it did more. Because, like, just doing, like, 38, I guess that's not, like, the worst thing in the world. But it definitely means you can't really take on Tauros 1v1. And even a weakened Tauros can potentially just take you out. So you kind of need Sword Stance in order to really threaten Tauros. And even then, it's going to be hard to get that off because URSALUNA is so slow. And even if you get one Sword Stance off, it's still a 2-hit KO. So I think you just have a bad matchup against Tauros no matter what. Meanwhile, Snorlax, you have a pretty good matchup. Because he can't really hurt you if he's just an all-physical attacker. Like, what does he do? Like, he can't paralyze you. The only thing he can really do is go for self-destruct. But that just allows you to easily get a free Sword Stance up, considering he just can't threaten you physically. And then, Amnesia Reflect Wax, it does a little bit better, I guess. But it needs a lot of setup. So, if Snorlax tries to go to Reflect, and then he needs like 1 or 2 Amnesias in order to like one-shot you with Ice Beam, that gives you plenty of time to go for 1 or 2 Sword Stances. So, in practice, there's just not much they can really do against you. So, that's a bad matchup for Tauros. You do a little bit better with Snorlax. I would still only really consider it a good matchup though, but could be wrong. And a crit completely murders Chansey, which probably doesn't surprise many of you. And yeah, Ice Beam, it does hurt, but you're faster. So, there's not really a huge, like, worry. Because I think your Chansey is still going to be more valuable than your URSALUNA. So I don't think the opponent will ever just let their Chansey stay in, just so they can potentially get 46% on an URSALUNA. I just don't see that. Like, it does not seem like a good trade-off whatsoever. And then with Alakazam, URSALUNA pretty much takes out like a champ, and Blood Moon can just do so much damage to Alakazam. Same with Hyper Beam. And as you see there, even with a special drop, URSALUNA, like, is still able to survive. Although, I would still put the matchup and could go either way, because Alakazam's still pretty fast, he can crit, or the special drops can be even worse. Also, in case you're wondering, URSALUNA using Ice Punch and using Blood Moon on an Executor are pretty much around the same range. So in reality, there's not much of a difference, and it doesn't really matter. Either way, Executor can tank it easily, outspeeds, can put you to sleep, or can just kill you with Psychic. Very unfortunate. And to my surprise, Blood Moon does not OHKO Jinx. Not even close. So, this is even like saying going against Jinx is an unwinnable matchup because of Lovely Kiss. URSALUNA just can't OHKO, which means Jinx can just go for a Blizzard or 2. It's pretty fast, it might crit anyways. So there's just nothing you can really do. Same way how Rhydon can't really do anything to URSALUNA. I imagine it could probably do a little bit better against Sword Stance Earthquake URSALUNA, because he is so physically tanky. But with how little damage he does, URSALUNA can definitely get a lot of free Sword Stances off. Even if he doesn't have it, he can very easily just, just kill with enough earthquakes. So Rhydon just can't do anything. And last but not least, I decided just to go with Starmie. Just showing like a water type with, like a strong water move. It's basically the same thing for Cloyster and Swellbro. Thunder Punch, it does decent damage. But obviously, both Starmie and Cloyster are faster. And then Swellbro is very physically, tanky and has amnesia. So that's an unwinnable matchup too. So that's why this is what I have for the tier list. And it's incredibly even, as you can see. Maybe Snorlax should go in great matchups, but I feel like good is, well, good enough. Or maybe like switch Jolteon and Snorlax if like Jolteon gets crits. I'm not sure. But this is what I personally believe. URSALUNA I think would be good, but I would more so call it balance. And I think this tier list here, at least in my opinion, perfectly represents that. Where there's a lot of stuff that you can counter, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that can easily check him. His speed is both a blessing and a curse, meaning he's just fast enough to just deal with Chansey. But other than that, everything else that's faster than him, that's pretty much the reason why he just can't compete with him at all. But what do you think? Do you think URSALUNA would be good in Gen 1? Do you think I'm overselling it? Or do you think I'm underselling it and he would be overpowered? And how would he do if, like, he had a 135 special and he can just, tank a lot of stuff? Because I'm pretty sure, like, he wasn't that specially tanky in the replays, but I could be wrong. But let me know what you think. And also, in the link to this video, I will actually have a link to my Discord server, as well as my socials like Twitter. I decided it's finally time to open up to you guys. So yeah, hope you have fun. And until next time, this is Grandback, and I look forward to hearing from you.